Hello YouTube and hello Ninth Age community. This is Charles Thurshid Gaming and I'm back with another Ninth Age battle report. I don't know how 2 months kind of like flew by since Battlecry. I've been playing a lot of games, but I haven't really been taking a lot of pictures. Finally just met a new opponent in our area. He's actually come all the way from Spain, and he kind of messaged me and he was like, hey, let's get a game in. So we got a game in. So let's look at the lists. This was my opponent's first game with Dread Elves. As I just mentioned, he came here all the way from Spain to the Detroit area, and I think he just picked up this army too. And he had some armies back in Spain, but he's living here in Michigan for a year or two, so just picked up a whole new army, and he's kind of starting it. So this was his first game with Dread Elves, and I actually quite liked his list. So he had a Dread Prince that's his general. He's got a great weapon, heavy armor, the Cult of Oleron, Destiny's Call, and the Ring of Shadows. So the Cult of Oleron is pretty cool. It gives you minimized discipline for your Dread Prince and for his unit, which is awesome. And then I think it might increase his Inspiring Presence, or that might be not true, but I think it also benefits the units in that they all just get +1 discipline. So it's a pretty cool upgrade for your Dread Elves. Definitely, I mean, Dread Elf discipline's good. It just makes it even better. He's got Destiny Call, so he's got the 4-up, 4-up, and then he's got the Ring of Shadows. So not too expensive, nice utility. He's got an Oracle on Divination, just a Wizard Master. That's it. 20 Corsairs with full command and paired weapons, 5 Dark Raiders, 30 Dread Legionnaires with full command and spears, 5 Dread Knights with full command, and then 30 Tower Guard with full command and the Banner of Gardekos. And I actually love the Banner of Gardekos on Tower Guard. I almost feel like Tower Guard are like really good again. Like, I don't know. I remember when I was playing Dread Elves, I liked Tower Guard. I thought they were a cool unit, but I just think they were subpar compared to the other like special melee units, in that like they really didn't do anything better than the other ones. They were faster and they were better skilled, but when you had executioners with like hatred, it's like, does it even matter if they have fewer attacks? Like, they're just gonna hit with more of them anyway, or hit with about the same amount, and then one's strength 6, one's strength 4, but strength 4 AP2 with +1 to wound, that is pretty scary. So I definitely like the Banner of Gardekos. I think it's quite interesting now. Definitely a good choice. 2 Dread Reapers and a Hunting Chariot, and then a Hydra and a Kraken to round out the list. So I thought a pretty balanced kind of overall list. I know he's sort of restricted by the models he just purchased, but overall I thought it was an interesting list. The only thing I would have done is maybe added some banners in a couple places. I know the Academy banner is really good. So looking at my Empire Sonnstahl list, so I'm still playing with my Knights. Pretty much been playing with only Knights since Battlecry. I've been kind of tweaking the list here and there, trying to find more points and trying to change a couple things around, either get a little more shooting or a little more magic. So right now, this is what I ran at this for this game. Is I had a Knight Commander, Sonnstahl, Potion of Swiftness, Witchfire Guard, all the jazz. A Marshal BSB. He's a great tactician with Death Warrant and the Stalker Standard. That's my preferred build with him now. And then I have a Prelate with the Basalt Infusion, the Hero's Heart, and paired weapons. So he's got a 1-up on horse. He's got 4 strength 5 AP3 attacks. I actually quite like the grindy Prelate. I think he brings a lot more to the unit than just holding on to the Death Warrant. Then I have 2 Divination Wizards. So this is something I was kind of thinking about, and I thought this would be really interesting to try. Is a Wizard Master in Divination with the Magical Heirloom, and then a Wizard Master just like an Adept, both on horses. So I still get 3 channels in the list, like I did last time. I have the first 5 spells of Divination, and then I take then I have like like a choice between 2 more Magic Missiles, or if I want Altered Sight. which Altered Sight in this list isn't as big of a deal because I have less crossbows. But I thought it was pretty interesting. And optionally, I could take all 6 spells in divination if Portent is really, I think going to help me. Most of the time, I find Portent is minor. Like even in this game, it's like, but he only has 1 character and like 1 unit, so that's pretty minor. But yeah, let me know what you guys think of that divination build. It's not what I'm taking to Buckeye Battles, but let me know what you guys think about that. And they're both on horses, and they don't actually go in the big unit of 15 knights. So because I have the big unit of 15 knights with full command, lances, shield, and they have the banner speed, they go in this small unit of knights with just a champion, great weapon, and 6 knights and musician. Which, after playing with them, I almost feel like I could drop the champion and the great weapon for like 1 more knight, just to give me that like 1 more extra blade of wound for shooting. But I think I like that. The unit's interesting. I like the idea of great weapons just in case they get in combat. Like they can duke it out a little bit, but I don't know. I think generally I don't even want them ever to see combat. I have 15 light infantry with the musician. 2 things of 3 knights of Sun Griffin. I decided 3 knights of Sun Griffin are pretty much just as good as 4. I don't really think the 4th one gets you that much more. And that was really where the journey began. Is I was like, I could cut this 1 knight of the Sun Griffin because I'm like, the 4 versus the 3. Really, there's not that many more like matchups where 4 are gonna come out on top against like 3. Obviously, it gives you 3 more wounds. But in most cases, I find the 3 do just as well fighting things as the 4. So that was really where the journey started with this list of what do I do with 110 points or something like that. It's like, what do I do with 110 points in the list? And unfortunately, I couldn't take 2 binding scrolls because I was capped on my characters. Otherwise, that's what I would have done. So 2 things of 3 Knights of Sun Griffin, and 2 things of 5 basic riders, and then my steam tank. So, looking at deployment, he's got his 2 bolt throwers kind of, bookending his army. And then from left to right, he's got his hunting chariot next to his kraken. He's got his 5 dark raiders. They're right now they're cold 1 cav, or they're just cold ones. They're raptors, sorry, 9th age terms. In the forest right there, they're gonna vanguard, get out of that forest, and then he's got a hydra next to his big block of tower guard. And he has his general in his tower guard, which makes sense. And then he's got his 20 corsairs next to them, and he's got his oracle in the corsairs. On the other side of the building, he has 5 dread knights, and then he has his 30 spears next to that fence, next to that bolt thrower on the other side of the board. So we're actually playing marching columns for our deployment. And then we played King of the Hill, which is the one I don't always play. You don't always see it a lot at tournaments. It's an interesting one. I feel like it should come back. I feel like it should get into tournaments. I don't know. Everyone loves Breakthrough and 2 pennies and Hold the Center, but King of the Hill is definitely different. So that's the one where you choose. Like I choose a train feature that's not entirely with my deployment zone, and my opponent chooses one. So he was able to choose the fence, and I chose the hill. And I chose the hill first, so then he chose the fence. So kind of separated the board on ourselves, pushed the objective far. I mean, it's just 2 pennies, I guess, with like, terrain features, which can complicate it instead of just like, you just move units close. So I think it's interesting, but that's what we played. Those are his 2 characters. So, looking at my deployment, so from right to left there, I got 5 riders, and I think this is after Vanguard with that unit. Yeah, I think I Vanguarded them, and I started remembering I wanted to take pictures. It's been a while since I took pictures. Steam tank, so that's why you can see why he's got his Kraken and his Hunting Chariot on the same side of the board. 3 Knights of Sun Griffin. I have 5 more riders behind the hill who haven't Vanguarded yet. My Wizard Bunker, the Knights with the Electro Cav with Grey Weapon, and the 2 Wizards in the same unit. My big Knightly Orders unit with my 3 characters. My 15 crossbows and the runes. And then I have 3 Knights of Sun Griffin hanging out in a field to get some cover from the Bolt Thrower. That's where you can see all my characters. Prelate, Knight Commander, BSB, Wizard, Wizard Master. There you go. So, this is kind of after vanguards, and my opponent was able to drop to go for turn one. Since we're playing marching columns, so we had to put a few things down. I think I started with my riders went down, and then I think I put my steam tank down, which was probably a bad choice against his list. And then I put my Knights of the Sun Griffin down, and then I put everything else. And he was able to. He started on the other side with he put his bolt throwers down, which were nice because you can just drop them and not really worry about your marching columns. And then he put his spears on that one side, and I was like, I don't really want to fight those spears all that much. And then he kind of followed suit. So he was able to get turn one, and this is the start of his turn one. So I didn't vanguard too aggressively with my riders because I knew I wasn't going first. And he was able to move his Dark Riders to chaff up my Knights and kind of chaff up my shooting too. I can't really see I can see the Corsairs, but I can't really see the Tower Guard, unfortunately. And those are the ones I'd rather shoot at, even though they have soft cover. So that's his movement turn one. He gets Flux card 4, and he saves 2 tokens. Just another picture. He gets Scrying up on his Dark Raiders, so that they're a little bit harder to shoot off. He puts the Guiding Light on them too, which is nice. And then that was pretty much it for Magic. He was fortunately, because it was only divination with one wizard, he was a little bit out of range for a lot of things. He shoots with his bolt thrower, his Dread Reaper at my steam tank, and he does 3 wounds. And his hunting chariot hits, but it doesn't wound. So yeah, 3 wounds turn one on the steam tank. That was pretty rough. And then this is just sort of like bad play. My Knights, it almost looks like they're in the rune, but I don't think I had them exactly in there. Just because I think my base is sort of overlapping with it, but the Knights weren't. So he was able to hit and kill 4 Knights with a Bolt Thrower turn 1, which is also pretty rough. Bolt Thrower is just too good against this list. So, my turn 1, Empire Sonnstahl turn 1, I charge my riders at his hunting chariot. I just kind of want to try and beat it with combat res. I move my other riders kind of up into that forest to threaten his bolt thrower back there. And I move up at the steam tank, just 43 to shoot at his Kraken, just hoping to put some wounds on it. I'm really hoping that I can maybe even tie it up with my riders if combat goes well, but if not, maybe stop it from charging me. But if anything, I need to put some damage on it before it gets into me. And then I don't really move up all that much. Yeah, I was just kind of playing a little defensively here. I'm just thinking I'm just going to try and get rid of his Dark Raiders with my magic and shooting, and just kind of maybe put some damage out there. I have a lot of damage spells. I have both the div damage spells and Fireball and Quicksilver Lash. I didn't take a picture of my spells, but I have 1 through 5 div, Quicksilver Lash, Fireball. Fortunately, I only get the first magic phase turn 1, so I get 6 dice. I trade in all my Veil tokens. And then I get a Quicksilver Lash off. I think I just threw 2 dice at this, and he had a hard time deciding to let it go, because obviously I wound on his save, and then that just goes all through. But he didn't let it. Ended up letting it go. I got 4 hits and they did 3 wounds, so that was great. And that was the end of my magic phase. I couldn't really get anything else off. I shoot the Dark Raiders, and they failed their Guiding Light discipline check. It was crazy. He rolled 3 5s or something like that, and they were out of Inspiring Presence. So they ran. And combat went well over here. I was able to do 3 wounds to the hunting chariot, so couldn't quite kill it. It got away from me too. It ran away, and it got away, and then I was able to overrun into his Kraken. So that was nice, because I can type his Kraken for a turn. It's a long overrun. I think it can possibly overrun because of my random move, but most likely, I think it doesn't get in. I think he needs a 12, maybe 11. So we'll see. We'll see if that comes down to it. He rallies these guys, these Dark Raiders, and he does rally his chariot too, so I was a little bummed about that. I was hoping to say just go off the board. And this is what it's looking like. So he brings his Dread Knights up to really threaten my my crossbows, my light infantry with crossbows. He moves his Hydra over to use his breath weapon on my or my riders, which I thought was a really good idea. Hoping to get like one or two alive to maybe threaten that bolt thrower, but that's probably wishful thinking. The magic phase, he gets flux card 7. He's able to get scrying off on his Dread Knights, because he is scrying, rerolls the hit, starts line, unerring strike, and the hereditary spell from Dread Elves. He puts guiding light on his Dark Raiders, just in case I shoot at them again and I can only pick one off, and he can probably pass it this time. And his bolt thrower hits again. It does 3 more wounds again. Like, whew, man, it's a lot of. Funny thing is, it's always like it's like a 4-up. It's a 4-up because I think it was long range. It was 4-up, and then it's like the 5-up just to put 3 more wounds on, and he's able to do it. So that was making me real nervous because now if I go into combat with that Kraken, even like if I flub, the Kraken will have no problem putting that one more wound on the steam tank. So that was making me nervous. And his Hydra's breath weapon was good, and it killed the rest. I think he got 6 hits, and he did 6 wounds. And I was like, maybe I can just make 1 armor save, 1 or 2 armor saves. I needed to make 2 to get like 1 guy left, and I just couldn't do it. So unfortunately, all my riders are blown away right here. In this combat, I go in, I get my agility 10 pistols. I do 1 wound, which is nice. Even I failed my fear test, and I still got a wound through. It was pretty good. And he just slaughters them. And I think there was like 1 or 2 alive, and they ran, and he caught them, and he was 1 inch away, and he needed like 1 higher on his overrun to get in the steam tank. So I was having a sigh of relief right there. That was good news. So Empire Sonnstahl, turn 2, I charge my Knights of Sun Griffin, and I charge my steam tank. I charge my Knights of Sun Griffin. They go in. He holds, and then my steam tank random moves into him. And then I make a pretty interesting charge here. So I decided like his Dread Knights were too close. I couldn't really deal with him with shooting because he had a good roll to get his scrying off, and I didn't want to like waste all my dice. So I ended up deciding to charge them with my knights, and he elected to flee because I think I only needed like an 8 on the dice. And then I redirected into his Corsairs, and I'm just kind of going for it at this point. I don't have a ton of knights left, but I'd rather have them in combat than get picked off by bolt throwers. So another shot of fighting the Kraken. Gotta hope this goes well. The Kraken's got 4 wounds left, so I gotta really hope my impact hit hard. Yeah. Moving up my knights, or my wizards a little bit, just to make sure I have range for everything. I'm nice and far from his tower guard, so it's not even really easy charge for him. And yeah, I moved up my Knights of Sun Griffin to the forest. I took a wound, but I kind of wanted to start threatening this side, and also just maybe be in range to move on to the objective at some point. So I got Flux Card 5, which was awesome. I was able to trade in all 12 Veil tokens I got for 4 more dice. I was able to get a Quicksilver Lash off, which was great, but he stopped it. I got a Know Thy Enemy off, and he let that go through. And I was also able to get Scrying off on my Knights. And I think that's where it, that's where it stopped. But I was pretty excited about that. So my Knights are like, offensive 6, defensive 6, and they have Scrying and Hard Target up. So that's pretty cool. The crossbows, even with just the front 2 ranks, are able to get rid of the 2 more Dark Raiders. And then after combat, there's only 5 Corsairs left, and I let them run, even though I know they're unfortunately going to be able to rally, but I kind of just let them go. And I am able to kill his wizard with my prelate, so that was quite nice. I love that fighty prelate. He's pretty useful. He's honestly a mini Son. That's what I think of him. He's like a mini Sonnstahl because he's got like 4 strength 5 AP 3 attacks. So like he's not good against everything, and the divine attacks. That's actually not to be understated too. Divine attacks are really cool on a prelate. Yeah, so I reformed my knights into like a big line. I've got 14 models left in that unit, so I'm 7 wide, and I'm all buffed up, and I was just kind of like, you know, do you want to come in with the tower guard? And yeah, so that's the Kraken combat went well. I went in with my impact hits, and I think I got 5, and I wounded with all of them. So my steam tank was able to just crash right into it and kill it, which is awesome. And yeah, so and then my knights on the hill, they do have the attribute on them, guiding light, and they're just kind of looking at they're looking at his Kraken. They're kind of looking at that combat in the middle that might happen, and we'll see how that goes. So my opponent decides that the tower guard are going in, which is not surprising because they have a lot of fighting power too. He's out magic, but even though he doesn't have magic, he's kind of still not down all that much, just because his stats are so good. You know, I mean, it's unfortunately hitting me on 4s right now, but he's wounding me on 2s with AP2. So we'll see how that goes. Yeah, this is gonna be a tough combat. His Raptor Knights did not rally. His Dread Knights did not rally. And then he also charged his Hydra into my 3 Knights Sun Griffin. So the Hydra's only got 2 wounds left. But yeah, I mean, we'll see. He was kind of debating about doing it, and I wasn't really sure because it's got a 4-2 against all my attacks. And I mean, we're kind of equally matched because he's higher skills than me. So if I don't really do well with my Griff attacks, it's not like my Knights are gonna do anything. So yeah, yeah, I think that's an interesting fight. One of the bolt throwers, or one of the bolt throwers I'm hiding from. The other one that can see me, it's the one on the right next to the spearman. Hits, does 2 wounds to my wizard master, and now I'm nervous. Now I wish I brought more guys. It did shoot them turn 2, I believe, too, and it killed 2 of them. So it's already been doing work on this unit. This combat with the Knights of Sun Griffin goes well. I think I just kind of lucked out, honestly. I think I did 2 wounds with the Griffs, which was about average, and he saved one of them. And then I had one Knight attack, or I had one Knight attack wound, and he just failed a 5-up 4-up, and it unfortunately died. So yeah, I think I just got really lucky here, because if that thing went, I think he would have at least done 3 wounds, with all his attacks. Yeah, maybe 2, but I think he could have won combat and then forced a discipline check, which I had a good discipline, but it's, you never know. You can always, I mean, he failed the guy in the light. I could have failed the guy in the light too. So lucked out here. And then into the big combat in the middle, just kind of a fun picture of showing us clashing right there. So I think the fastest person, because I'm also like that. I always kind of you can't forget about the agility bump too, because I know that I'm using the agility bump. So my knights are agility 5, his guys are agility 6. My knight commander is agility 8 though, and my prelate's agility 6, and my BSB's agility 7. So it was like my knight commander and his general went Simo. We both attacked the units. I think I killed 4. He killed 1 or 2. I made some good armor saves. Because he's only hitting me on 4s too. So I think he did 2 hits, 2 wounds, and I saved 1. And then goes on to my BSB. He got his battle. I think he just got 1 hit through to do his battle focus. My prelate went. I think he did a couple wounds. The knights went. They did a few more wounds because we killed we killed 10. It looks like 6 in the back rank, 3 in that second one, and there's 1 guy in that. So we killed 10. He killed 4. So we kind of, I mean, definitely, I would say I had my hatred, all my buffs up. So I was hitting pretty well and wounding pretty well. He was wounding very well. I think he, out of all his attacks, he only hit about, he hit about half of them, but he wounded with all of them. And I just made good armor saves too. So, I mean, it was a little bit of a tight combat, but I won it. But he's minimized discipline and he sticks. So, and then Empress Sonnstahl turn 3. I'm able to charge with my Knights of Sun Griffin after they beat that Hydra into the flank over here, so that's going to be really helpful. Not even helpful in breaking him because he's just got such good discipline in bodyguard. It's a hard unit to shift. I at this point I'm thinking like I just need to grind these guys to death, you know. And I gotta hope really get some good like divination magic up to help me buff up because he's better than me, with his basic stats. So that's what it's looking like. With the end of movement, I don't really move my Knights of Sun Griffin over there just a little bit. I kept like an arc on his Dread Knights. My Steam Tank moved up to try and do the Breath Weapon on his Hunting Chariot, but I just needed like another inch or two. And then my crossbows had nothing to shoot at, so they just kind of started moving to a place where I'm like, all right, I might be able to shoot something eventually. So, yeah. Yes, so I got Flex Card 7, sorry. I got Flex Card 7, save 1 Veil token. I think the biggest thing, all I got up was the Bubble Know Thy Enemy. I had to put Guiding Light on the Knights of Sun Griffin because I already had minimized discipline on my Knights. We go into this combat, we do, a bunch more. I think we kill another 9. He kills, I think I'm down to... I think he killed another 3 or 4. Yeah, so... Yeah, just about 3 or 4. So we're winning the grind, but it's going slowly. And unfortunately, I'm so wide and he's so short, even with 6 models. He's only 120 millimeters. I'm just too wide that I can't even slide my Knights of Sun Griffins over. So that was kind of a bummer. Because I got to keep my 6 Knights in combat. And I did challenge with my Prelate this turn against his general because I put 1 attack on his champion the first round of combat and killed him. And we both did 1 wound to each other. So this is what's looking like on Dread Elf turn 4. He moves up his Hunting Chariot to just kind of trying to finish me off. And he does rally, I think, his Dread Knights this turn. Yep, and he moves up his Spearman just to block me from getting onto the objective, which I thought was a good move, because that's not really a good fight for me. It's not really great fight for him when he charges, so we're kind of just at a standstill. And then he also was able to finish off my Wizard Master, so I'm just down to an Adept, and my Adept, he's the one that knows Fireball, and I think he knows Fate's Judgment, so he's kind of useless to me, to be honest. And then in combat, he also killed my Prelate this round. So, yeah, that was rough. Because now I'm my magic phase is pretty much over as his is. And, we're just grinding in the middle of that combat there. I get him down to, I think, about six Tower Guard. I think this was the first time it was a tie combat. So it was almost starting to swing in his direction here. Because I lost all my buffs. Because I had a Bubble Know That Enemy up, and then he just killed my Master, and no more Bubble Know That Enemy, so that was a bummer. Yeah, so yeah, because I think he goes from hitting me on, he was hitting me on 3s, he goes back to 2s, with everything, which is really good. Yeah, so, but the good news is he couldn't kill my Steam Tank this turn, so the Steam Tank just barely is holding on with the 1 wound. And then in the final turn, this ends up being our final turn, turn 4, just because we were kind of running out of time. We were playing on a tournament time, sort of because I had a time limit on my day, and sort of just also for practice, and we were just kind of running out. We kill all the Tower Guard, but we don't kill his general, but he does flee. I think he needed I think he needed a discipline 2 check to stay. It wasn't quite an auto break either, because we did do a lot of wounds the final turn, but yeah, it wasn't quite an auto break, and he just barely, he can't stick around, and we're able to pursue him down, and this is basically where the game ends. So I still have, my Knights are barely hanging on with 1 Knight model. My Steam Tank was able to random move into his Hunting Chariot and kill it. And Yeah, so and he lost his General's Tower Guard. He's got his 5 Dread Knights, his big thing of 30 spears, and his 5 Corsairs are still alive. They actually went around the building. They decided not even to join that combat. They just kind of got out of there, which was probably smart because 5 Corsairs really isn't going to do much. They're just going to be extra combat res. Yeah, and this is where the game ends, unfortunately. If we continue playing it out, I think this could be a really tight game. Only because, I mean, I like how I'm looking at this end board position, you know, like, I feel like that one bolt thrower, you know, he's got 2 bolt thrower shots in the flank right there. And that could really just spell doom for me. Although, actually, you know, now that I think about it, he did pull his knights back because, you know, we were starting to pack up. And I was like, oh, let me just get that one more picture, that one last picture. And not like now I'm looking at it, I'm like, if those knights are blocking my Knights of Sungriffin, he might just be giving me cover. Not a lot of cover, but maybe. I'm not sure. We'd have to get down on the ground and measure that. But, you know, because at this point I'm thinking, like, you know, the Boltor is, you know, probably doomed on the left side with the steam tank. So it might as well just try and kill a character. Because that's, you know, any of those characters, you know, my BSB or my General are way more points than the steam tank. And it has a decent chance of just killing them, you know. Yeah, so, and he could probably polish my knights off, which is a lot of points. And then if he does that, I don't really think I have anything else to. I don't have anything to really threaten his spearmen all that much. So I think that's just a standoff. Maybe you might be able to do a little bit with my crossbows to pick something off. You know, maybe pick off you know, the Dread Knights. Maybe that's really unlikely. But I'm thinking those Knights of Sungriffin, they run around the building. My turn 5. To threaten like the Corsairs and get those points and threaten the Dread Knights maybe. But yeah, it was a pretty tight game. It was a fun game too. So let's look at the points. So it ends up being a 1,755 point difference between us. I believe my opponent got about 1,300 points from me, and I got like about 3,000. I can't remember them exactly. I have some written. I don't have them all written down. But it ends up being a 14-6 for the U.S. And yeah, nobody got the objective because I couldn't move on it. And this is a turn 4 too. So I think if we kept playing, I think it would have gotten closer to a 10-10. But definitely a fun game. Definitely want to thank my opponent for a great game. It was like, you know, his first time with Dread Elves, and I thought he played them really well. I think he's played Sylvan Elves a lot before, which, I mean, all the Elves are quite a bit different, but at least he's had some experience with Elves and a little bit of, you know, about their fragility and their speed. And so, yeah, it was a great game, though. Thank you, everybody, for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll have some more 9th Age content coming up soon.